Hi everyone, welcome back to my travel diary. Today we'll be going over day 2 of the trip, and I have some really exciting places that I'd like to share with you today. On day 2, we spent the day in Osaka, with some of the notable places that we went to being the Cup Noodle Museum, the Pokemon Center, and the Nintendo Store. And today I will take you through my experiences and thoughts on each location. So our first stop on day 2 was the Cup Noodle Museum, which my wife's mum and her aunt actually came along with us to that. The Cup Noodle Museum is located about a 10 minutes walk from Ikeda Station. Now this is a bit of a unique museum. It's dedicated to the history and creation of instant noodles. And in my personal opinion, it's a fun place for all ages. Now, one little unique thing on the way to the actual Cup Noodle Museum is that on the ground there's like these manhole covers that are themed after the museum itself. And it was really cool to see that. In fact, Japan actually has a lot of themed manhole covers in all different regions. Now, entry to the museum is actually free, and as soon as you enter, to the left there's this really nice gift store which has a lot of goodies in there. And then to the right was the actual museum itself. Now in the museum, you actually learn a little bit about the founder of the museum and how he revolutionized the food industry. It was actually really surprising to see some old footage of Japan back when instant noodles were introduced, and it was like the hip thing to walk around and eat your cup noodles just on the street. It was like this big craze that just got suddenly introduced. Now, in the Cup Noodle Museum, there are 2 main exhibits. Both of them do have a small fee. One was where you could kind of do like this make your own ramen from scratch. We decided to not do that one during this trip because in a previous trip that we had to Japan, we actually did make our own ramen from scratch. Actually, we did soba noodles, but it was a very similar thing, so we decided that we would give that one a miss for today. We did do the other attraction, which was where you make and design your own cup noodles by just drawing on it, basically. Now for this one, it does cost about 500 yen, or roughly $5 per cup for you to design, which by Australian standards is very, very cheap. Now we all got 1 cup each to design, except for Saori's mum. She got 3, one for each of Saori's niece and nephews. Now this was a really fun and interactive experience, even though I'm not much of an artist and drawing on a round cup is really not that easy, but it was still really enjoyable. Now, when you finish drawing your design, you take your cup up to the packaging area at the back of the room, where you then pick the flavor of the noodles that you want, and as well as the toppings that you want inside. Now, I ended up going with the curry flavor, which was actually really nice. It was actually really fun to watch the packaging process. It was actually quite unique. The way the noodles go into the cup is done in a specific way, which they'd actually tried through a little bit of trial and error because it can't just simply drop the noodles straight into the cup because it usually goes in on a bit of an angle. It kind of has to go around upside down. All in all, it was a very fun process, and it's something that I highly recommend if you're ever in Osaka. After the Cup Noodle Museum, we parted ways with Saori's mum and her aunt, and we headed over to the Pokemon Center. Now the Pokemon Center is actually located in Osaka Station, and I highly recommend it for any Pokemon fans out there. Now, I'm not sure what Pokemon merchandise is like in other countries around the world, but I know in Australia the quality is not that great and the price is extremely high in comparison to the Pokemon Center in Japan, which I guess is for obvious reasons. Now, this store is just a paradise for Pokemon fans, filled with all kinds of merchandise featuring some of our favorite Pokemon, ranging from plushies, trading cards, clothing, phone accessories, stickers, you name it. Now, I couldn't resist picking up a few little souvenirs myself. I ended up getting this big plushie Snorlax, as well as a fluffy plushie Eevee, as well as some of these bath bombs. Now, these ones, basically there's just a Pokemon inside and you can kind of fish them out, which is pretty cool. The atmosphere inside the Pokemon Center was really fun and vibrant, and something that I highly recommend if you are a fan. And in fact, if you're a big fan, I would highly recommend that you not only check out the Pokemon Center in Osaka, but try and see as many of them as you can, because it wasn't until later on in the trip that I actually learned that each Pokemon Center has its own theme. and they all have slightly different products inside as well. So it's kind of almost like they're all a different region. Now, right next door to the Pokemon Center is the Nintendo store, which in my opinion is a dream come true if you're a Nintendo fan. Now, as soon as you step inside the Nintendo store, you're actually greeted by these big statues of some of the classic Nintendo characters, just surrounded by a lot of merchandise related to that title. It was a very nostalgic experience stepping inside and seeing a lot of the classic Nintendo characters and their merchandise that I grew up with from when I was a kid. Now, the Nintendo store also had a lot of different merchandise like clothing, plushies, a lot of stationery, electronics, and a lot of everyday items that you would use as well. Now, I liked a lot of the products that the Nintendo store had, like these little hand towels that when you roll them up, they kind of look like Mario going into a pipe or a piranha plant coming out, as well as these Mario boxes that would look really good in like IKEA furniture. And this Toad pillow is as soft as silk. Oh, and this Kirby soft drink can cover was just really cute. Now, I must say the Animal Crossing or Doubutsu no Mori were some of my favorite merchandise. Everything was really cute, but in a way that would still look really nice displayed in your house. And it was all very usable products as well. As much as I enjoyed the Pokemon Center, I would say that the Nintendo store had a lot more products that you would actually use every day. There's a lot of amazing stores just around Osaka Station alone, and you could quite easily spend the whole day just walking around browsing, which we actually ended up doing. Now, if you enjoy shopping while you travel, I highly recommend that you check out Yodobashi Umeda Tower, right next to Osaka Station. Now, I didn't really take any footage while I was there because it was kind of at the end of the day, it was really late, we were on our way home, and we just sort of had one final look while we were there. And the reason was just to kind of get an idea as to what their camera prices were like compared to Australia. And there was definitely a notable difference in price, which I guess is obvious because I was looking at Sony cameras, but they do have a lot of other products in there as well, and I highly recommend checking it out. And that about wraps up day 2, and we only had a short time in Osaka, so there was just a few places that I wanted to go to that I hadn't been to before, so I was really glad that I got to check them out. It was definitely a good day filled with a lot of nostalgia, but also some exciting things that I never really got the chance to do before, like the Cupnoodles Museum. We were thinking about going to USJ instead, but the Nintendo World tickets had actually sold out, so because there was no option to go there this time around, we decided to give it a miss, and instead what we'll do is we'll try and book it in advance for next year when we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stay tuned for more adventures in my travel diary. For the next couple of days, we'll be heading over to Kyoto. There are a lot of amazing places and experiences that I'm looking forward to showing you from Kyoto for the couple of days that we were there, so I really hope that you look forward to that. Also, it would be absolutely amazing if you could support me by subscribing, liking this video, and clicking that notification bell to stay up to date with my travel diary. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and I look forward to reading them. Until next time, thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.